everyone, and welcome back. We're back again. Dawn here.
Kimmy here.
Mom here.
We're going to be watching The Fifth Element today. It won our recent poll on Patreon.
Okay.
This one involves Bruce Willis. And you saw Gary Oldman on the title there because I opened it up on Amazon. A few of you have been asking us to say what platform we're watching on. So we're watching on Amazon today. You guys have no clue what this is about.
No.
I was asking them right
action
before.
pack though with Bruce Willis, I'm sure.
Probably will be.
I do want to say a few things. I have seen this before, but it's been a long time. But I don't want to influence you guys, so we'll just talk about it afterwards. Do you guys know Chris Tucker?
I don't know.
I think he's a comedian, but you might recognize him. I know he was a comedian or something. I don't know him in anything really but this. But we'll see. So he's in this too. You might. Yeah, you might. Do you like my hair today, ladies?
I love it. I'm jealous.
I went upstairs.
You should do that, Mom.
I know you should. So I went upstairs in my attic because I have a lot of props. I used to make a lot of costumes and used to cosplay all the time. So I had a lot of wigs and hair extensions up there and costumes. And I'm like, let me get the hair extensions out. So these have been put away for a while. So it was kind of cool that I could actually use them for something. I actually do have a cosplay of one of the characters on this, and I loved it. I mean, that was when I was away. I was way skinnier then, so I could do that character, but I looked really like her, and I have pictures, so maybe in this video, in the PIP, I'll show you some pictures to show you, but that was a lot of fun, and I had a picture of the main girl, and I would say multipass, multipass. So it was just so much fun. That was a great Halloween party I went to as well. So anyways, memory lane. But anywho, we'll watch and then we'll go from there. I'm really curious what you guys are going to think about this.
Yes, I'm curious about this multipass thing.
Multipass, what does it even mean?
Yeah, right?
The fifth element. Is it kind of like Avatar? There's 4 elements, but there's a 5th element.
Oh, maybe.
All right, ready?
Ready.
I'd like to take a few pictures.
No friends to watch. Yeah.
So weirdo. Holy crap.
I wonder about that. Ooh. Whoa.
He's like,
Oh, what's happening?
Whoa.
Whoa.
What's this?
Oh my.
Ooh. Ooh.
Any survivors?
Bada boom.
Big bada boom.
Big. Bada big boom. Big.
Yeah,
Boom.
yeah, big.
Woo! Oh!
Oh. Whoops.
My God, go through all those layers of traffic.
I was just going to say he's going to kiss her.
Advance.
You're right. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. It was wrong to kiss you.
Ooh.
Wake you up gently.
Oh, very hungry.
Oh my goodness.
Just for a little something.
That tiny body.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Did you bring me what I asked you for? This case is empty.
What do you mean, empty?
Her hair. Princess Leia.
5,000.
Yeah, right?
Major Dallas, you've been selected for a mission of the utmost importance. Major Iceborg will accompany you. It's your wife.
Is your wife?
I'm not going. You just gotta hide somewhere.
We'd love to help, but I mean, there's only one door. Where can we hide?
Oh, I understand it.
No way.
How the heck are you going to get all of them in there? Oh my gosh.
You have to save the world, my son.
Oh,
Why would that?
oh my God.
Oh!
Good job.
They're not dead, are they?
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
Other sparks happen. Yeah, she knows it's a multipass. Yeah, anyway, we're in love.
Multipass.
Now we know.
Unbelievable!
Oh,
5 to 7, I'll be your voice, you know. And I'll be out on the trail of the sexiest man of the year. D-man, your man.
oh my God.
I don't want one position, I want all positions.
Oh,
Call me Ruby.
At this point.
whoops.
Oh my God, what's coming down his
Yeah, looking
head?
down, it said, yeah. Ooh. Sure is.
Looks like blood, but I think it was like an ooze.
Poop.
Yeah, poop. I'm gonna
no,
crap on you.
That's right.
Chocolate syrup.
Yeah, look. Oh,
Parasite.
Yeah.
ooh.
Nice guess.
That's a beautiful view.
Whoa. Whoa.
Oh. Well, open it up. Make sure it says.
It's lurid.
Jeez. Oh. Oh.
She's like, I'm out of
Just
here.
running.
Oh.
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 Oh, yeah.
It's fun.
um,
We just did
my
this.
Three Stooges. Oh.
Oh,
The Supreme Being sent to Earth to save the universe.
Lilu?
She needs your help. And your love.
Oh.
oh, I feel bad.
Are they in there? They're not?
They're not.
Oh, they're not there! Good.
I've got to say, Mickey. Ooh. Hey.
You have a lot of stones, kidney stones.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow, what a marksman.
Oh. Oh.
Oh no. Watch out, watch out!
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
What's he telling me to do?
I think he's trying to say something to me.
Yeah. Ah, seesaw. Watch out, watch out! Uh-oh. Jump in the hole. Oh, sorry.
Get a pair of lungs.
Sounds like me on the Tower of Terror.
My God.
There he is.
Oh boy.
That's the leader.
Send someone to negotiate.
Oh, nice shot. Oh, he's like sweating bullets.
What's this thing with all these numbers?
Countdown.
No.
Yes,
If you
yes,
build a
yes,
bomb,
yes.
the alarms will go off because all these hotels have bomb detectors.
So delayed.
Oh my God.
Just in time.
But that was
Oh,
close.
watch out.
Whoa. Oh yes.
Hold on.
Oh,
Whoa.
Beautiful ship, no.
Whoop.
Corbin.
okay.
Corbin, it moved.
It's a
Calm
lightsaber on the
down.
back.
We need some fire. We gonna die.
Okay.
There are some things, very nice things worth saving, some beautiful things.
Like love.
Yes, love. That's good. That's a good example.
Tell her, Corbin.
No, like how much time?
Right? Yeah, right. Tell her. Say it.
Say I love you.
Scanner imaging has confirmed
Another moon.
dark planet.
He's fucking.
Yes! What's wrong with you?
It's about time someone did it.
Is this under the bomb or something?
Oops. Uh-oh.
Ooh.
I had a feeling.
They're not ready.
What a place.
Okay.
Loved the soundtrack so much. That was so good.
Oh, God.
I love the names.
God.
The diva was amazing. I loved her. She was so good. The one that was singing at the opera.
Yes.
That's right. That's good.
Really did have a beautiful voice.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So what did you guys think of this?
Your friend's right, yes. That was funny and everything else.
Had a good sense of humor in it. I thought it was pretty
That's right.
funny.
Wasn't it funny? Yeah.
I felt it was a cross between like Spaceballs and Indiana Jones kind of feel
Yeah,
of
it-
adventure and goofiness all rolled up in
Gosh,
one.
Yeah, it was fun. And again, I usually don't say anything to you if I've seen a movie before. I did say that I liked this movie, and I was telling myself, well, I shouldn't have said that to you in the beginning, because usually that leads you to be like, oh, it's probably a good movie if I liked it. Not that I'm like a judge of like great movies, but we usually like the same stuff. And with this, it's such a different style that I really wasn't
Yes, my
sure. Like,
gosh.
it's been so many years since I've seen it. I thought I saw the whole thing. The beginning, I didn't see much of because I was really reacting there and was surprised about certain things, but it made more sense actually learning about the elements that it was in 1914 and, you know, getting introduced to the aliens protecting the stones and having like them look at the different hieroglyphics all over. So it was kind of neat to see that, like, okay, well, that was already established, and then 300 years in the future, you know. But it wasn't a scary movie. Like, right away, I noticed you guys were a little bit scared in the beginning because you weren't sure what this was going to be about. You always go in blind.
Yeah.
It is good. Some fans say that it is good to have some knowledge of a movie before you watch, so you have certain expectations. It usually changes your reaction. But I think that's good, and I think that can be bad. So I agree. Like, it is good to know certain things. I think it's cool for you to just go in pure and have a raw, blind reaction to it. So I could tell you guys were scared in the beginning. Once you saw the aliens, I think that's when you guys started to lighten up a little bit, trying to take in
Yeah, definitely.
what are these creatures. They were so big, and they were just like waddling in really slow.
Oh, those, yes.
With the really tiny heads.
Yes, okay, yeah.
Okay.
So they were really funny. So seeing that, like, I was like, okay, you know, like watching this time, like, okay, well, that makes sense. but it didn't look so scary, right? You were still unsure.
No. With those big metal things, those Mandalore, whatever they were, and then the Mandalore, those other creatures too.
And the little heads.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, the ones before with the little heads, yes.
Little heads,
And then the
yes.
other guys that Kim was saying with the weird ear thingies.
Yes.
I
yes.
love the puppeteering, and I know there are actual people in costumes with animatronics. Like, that was so cool. And that made me kind of think of the Muppets. I don't know if it's the same kind of, like, people working on this, but it really just kept making me think of that, and it was really believable. There wasn't, like, computer graphics. There were, but not a whole lot, and I liked that look. And it made me think of the old Star Wars with a lot of aliens and stuff. They didn't always have a lot of
right.
computer-generated images and stuff. They were actual full-on costumes. It was very bizarre, too. Like, the different aliens, it really had a weird, like, 80s feel, just the different colors and outfits. They were so funny. I loved it. Like, they were so highly detailed and dirty with so many layers, like so many things you probably wouldn't wear in the future because it'll weigh you down and slow you up. I thought it was cool. It kind of reminded me a little bit of steampunk. We mentioned it before. You guys have no reference really to steampunk, but kind of like with Korra, where you have all these crazy machines, but they have more tubes and gadgets on them with gears that swirl around. They didn't have a lot of that, but they had a lot of tubes coming out of their heads. And not the diva, but like the people with the president, when they have the helmets with all these crazy tubes for some reason. Like, oh, they have a purpose, but we don't know. So I thought the designs were really cool. How did you guys like the story?
I like the story. I like the story a lot. I like the setting. I like Corbin being a taxi driver. I love the city. That was insane. Trying to maneuver around that city.
Yeah, and we joke with that because it reminded me a lot of Star Wars again. In Clone Wars, we see a city like scape like that where you have all this layered traffic everywhere, and we joke and say, can you imagine insurance policies and getting into accidents all the time?
Can you imagine us driving?
Because just going one way, like you just have one flat plane that we drive on, and when you have to worry about up and down too, like that's scary. But it was such a cool idea, and how he is a taxi driver. Corbin is like, he was a good soldier in the past, but he wasn't doing well with the whole taxi business, and
he had a
lot of points. Yeah, 1 point at the way when he got into an accident, and then no points. But he lied to his boss or something about having 50 points. Like, you got to do this job for me or whatever. I thought it was an interesting world.
I thought it was too. I thought the drive was he lost the love of his life. I think he just lost the drive for anything because he lost his wife, and he wanted the perfect. He wasn't going to meet anyone else perfect. But when he met her, all bets were off. He was like, no way.
It was cheesy in that way, but I loved it. It was a good romance, and right away, that first word, the perfect woman, there's no such thing. This fifth element was perfect. This person's perfect. We kept hearing that, and it was a he, and come to find out it was a she, and then they kept saying perfect, perfect, perfect. So it was very drawn out for us to show that, okay, she is the perfect one. Oh, and then Corbin's like, oh my God. So it was just meant to be. So the question I have is, they found this arm from those ancient aliens that were protecting the stones, right? And they blew up.
Yes.
So they were able to retrieve this arm that had the DNA of 200,000 cells or whatever they said for the DNA. And it was absolutely perfect. So they rebuilt it in their machine. And I guess the form of the fifth element makes up whatever it needs to be at that moment. I'm not sure if she became human because of the machine, if it was a human machine or something, or because the stones, like, they needed to do this ritual on Earth. So I'm curious what you guys have to say, if you can elaborate more on that, because that was a little confusing, unless you guys know or had a better understanding of that scene where she was built into Lilu in the beginning.
Yeah, and maybe the top scientist just thought a female should be perfect, the perfect person, the supreme being.
Yeah, so maybe the machine, like they just programmed the machine to do it or something. That could be, because I don't know. I took it as that the supreme being was a girl. I hope it wasn't because of that, because then I would be like, hey, Yeah, but it could be a guy, absolutely.
But maybe maybe they misinterpreted, thought it was a male, and it turned out to be a female all along.
Yeah. So that's what I was kind of hoping, because the first priest guy, he was like, oh, well, he's a she, so he was kind of shocked about it. So I thought that was fun. The idea of Lilu, she was a really cool character. she was so freaking adorable. I love how she acted in this, and she was so innocent, and she was trying to learn our ways, our different languages, and what we were about, and she learned a lot of evil along the
Took
way.
a lot of history in fast.
Yeah, and so many wars. So I love her character and how pure she is, and then how she learned a lot from her friends, and she loved Corbin. Like she fell in love with him. He was like infatuated with her from the beginning, you know?
Yes.
So again, it was cheesy, but I like that. It was cute that way. The only thing, because times are so different now, this was made back in 97, that I know a lot of people, maybe some, but I think a lot of people will be kind of like, hey, you know, perfect woman, she shouldn't be imaged that way, where she's beautiful, sexy, so skinny and fit. You know, I love how she had bright orange hair, which isn't a natural color, but that's just perfect, you know. But if you just erase that, I think it's totally fun. I really enjoyed this movie a lot.
It was good.
And
good.
I love the romance between her and Corbin. I thought that was really cute. I'm glad he was able to get on the cruise ship to be with her in the first place.
That was a very exciting scene. Once they got on the cruise ship, that was like
Which scene? Oh my god. Yeah, I love that when you see all the chaos.
All
and
the
then you
scenes.
have
It
what's
was.
the name? Ruby Rod, come on.
Ruby was unbelievable. It was so hilarious.
I thought you guys might know Chris Tucker from something just because you guys have seen older stuff, and I think he was a comedian or something. I only know him from this movie, and I think he was a character in Rush Hour, but you guys haven't seen that either, so you couldn't relate to that. But there were a lot of big people in this, and I don't think we know Lilu's actress from anywhere. Her name is like Mila Jovovich. She, I think, is in Resident Evil, because I remember watching this a while ago, and one of my friends told me that, but I never saw Resident Evil either, so I know that's a scary movie.
You know, Bilbo.
Yes, Bilbo. He is Ian Holm, and he does play the older Bilbo in the old Lord of the Rings, and the Hobbit too, but when he's older again. And I love him. He's great. We saw him in a few things.
He was a great character. That was a good character. He was so funny.
And he was really loyal. I love how he's nervous, where he was true to his mission, but like the nervousness would take over, and it was just
and he stole things. He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
I love that. Yeah, and he just grabs. He's like, "I'm gonna kill this guy or knock him out or something with that." And then just thinking of silly moments, but even with Corbin freezing his friends or the military guys in the fridge or the freezer. And I'm like, oh my god, and you thought they were dead, and I knew they weren't, but I was like, yeah, they look like they're dead, but that's the humor. He took the mission, and it's like, okay. What did you think of Corbin's mom?
Oh my god, she was annoying.
Oh my god, victimized, wah. Like, I kind of felt bad for her, but I'm like, oh my god, violent. And like, I was like, so. And I like the idea of the futuristic world. The sets were fun. Again, the costumes were great, but just how you had to put your hands up on the circles, like that was the authoritative thing. If they have to check you out.
Yeah, they instantly knew who you were, all about you.
And even when you were out in public, like if you did something wrong, like the guy bashing on the glass, I am Corbin, let me in. Like, I have to go on the ship. And they're like, okay, put your hands up. Like the automated guns came up.
Yeah, they cubed him. They put him in a cube and found out.
I thought the technology was actually fun. The music was great all the way through. Do you guys have a favorite scene that you like that really stood out to you?
When we first met Ruby, it was a riot with all the girls, and the girls were just in love with him. I'm just cracking up with that.
I love his outfit too. That was great, and his freaking hair. That was like the best with the big bottle.
And it was on the side profile, almost like a blow dryer.
I know. I was trying to like compare what that could be. I kept thinking phallic things. But I'm like,
maybe
okay,
I should do my hair like that.
Ooh, yeah, we could do that. Ruby Mom. You can have your own like staff with a microphone on it. I like that device. That was cool. But he had such a following, and all his employees and stuff following him around as suck-ups, you know, like full on, like, oh my god, you were great, anything you wanted us to say, oh, it was beautiful, and so over dramatic. I thought that was so great too, following that. And then all his fans just there holding up autographs, and he's painting them all. You know, not even trying to attempt a signature because he's just too good and he doesn't have time for that, but his fans just love him. They don't even see it as like, I think it as a rude thing, like really just painting across like that. It's like, oh my god.
And then when one of his assistants was saying, oh, it's green, something about green. He's
super
like,
green.
What's that mean, super green? And then he started using that term. He's like, is it green? Is it green? And he took that term for his own.
I think that was his actual term. I think that's what he was saying.
Was
to them.
it?
Yeah, because he kept going, was it green? Was it green? And they're like, yeah, it was green. Yeah, was it green? You sure it was green?
It was his right off the bat.
Yeah, so I think that was his term to be like everything was good, you know. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it was. So I love how that's like the lingo. The lingo.
It's good.
But even Corbin just being so shut off from him and so annoyed because they're opposites, complete opposites, and how like Ruby got so mad at him and he's like, you have to have more of a vocabulary than just 2 words. And then he still didn't change. He actually threatened him.
Thrilled.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
So I love the dynamic of all the characters, and I like how they became a team later. They had to. They had
What
no
a
choice.
team they were between the priest and Ruby and Corbin.
And Lilu. I wish
David.
I wish Lilu had more scenes of fighting because that's not what she was about. And I like how she told Corbin in the beginning when they were about to go to sleep in the ship that I'm here to protect you. So that was kind of cool to see that. This reminded me a lot of how things were in the older days where, you know, the guy had to protect the girl. And, you know, I get that physically. That does happen a lot still. And I think that's cool. But he was overbearing a lot, like overprotective of her, like full on infatuated with her and like, like I'm the guy. I'm going to protect you. I love you, you know. So I liked how she said, well, I'm here to protect you, you know? So I love that fight sequence she did during the opera singing. That's my favorite scene. I thought that was such a cool scene, and how it's a beautiful human type opera. I've never been to one, but seen some on TV, and it just reminded me of that, where a beautiful, all the way through, her voice was so gorgeous, and everyone's just so in awe listening to her, quiet, just eyes glazed over, just listening. I love that.
It's good.
Then she changes, her octave levels are just jumping a lot, and it goes really low to really high, and then they put like a synthesizer on her voice where she's like going off, not off key, but nothing a human could do, so it sounded like a keyboard or something. So it was pretty cool how they kept changing it, and it was montaging with Lilu fighting all these aliens. So that was a cool scene to actually see that she did learn a lot from reading all these different fight techniques and was able to take out the bad guys, but she wasn't invincible, so she got injured and she needed Corbin's help. So that whole entire scene I really thought was really nice.
That was very impressive. Even right after when Diva fell down after she was shot, and Ruby's like, "What do I do with this guy?" Like, just point it out and remove just trigger. And all he's worried about is, "What do I do? What do I do?" Nothing about Corbin sticking his hand in there to get the stone.
That was
I know. Because
you're not gonna say anything about that.
Yeah, because that was so over the top, because like she said inside me, but this beautiful woman that just died, and it's like, okay, well, literally it must be, and to be able to do that, I'm like, oh my God. And I get it, the elements are so important, life or death. Everyone's gonna die if you don't protect these stones. So she did that because she knew, she planned ahead that her place was going to be attacked and they were going to steal the case. And I love that. Okay, anyways, I'm not going to go there yet, but they take the case and they're not in there, so that's the best place to have them. So I think she was ready to sacrifice herself. So I think she was willing to die, because I don't know what they would do there.
Good point.
Where she'd be like, okay, operate on me, guys, these have to come out of me. We don't know her alien anatomy, so I don't know if she just goes, okay, let me open up this flap and here you go.
Yeah, or I gotta go to the bathroom, I'll be right back.
I know, exactly. Like, oh, got all these like huge stones and she's so petite that I'm like, ooh. But the idea of it was fun, and I liked her. We got sad that she died, and I'm glad Corbin was able to really work with it fast to actually take them out of her.
I like the scene where was it Zorg? Open up the box. And
yes.
And then the stones.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Going mad.
I love that, because the first time we see it, we're like, okay, he opens the box and he's like, they're not here, but it takes a moment still to kind of be like, okay, what's in the box or suitcase or whatever, and then they're not in there. And the second time was the best, because you don't know for a while. And I heard you, Kim, say, oh well, okay, he does have the stones, okay, and then he's like, he starts crying. That killed me. I love that scene so much. That was good. And Gary Oldman, I kept making comments about that. Like, he was crazy in this. I thought he was such a good bad guy, and weirdly designed with that weird plastic piece. It was so cheap how he had that. I thought,
because you didn't see you could see the
opening.
I was going to say something about that.
Yeah,
I
it was
saw
like,
that. I said, good thing I didn't say anything. earlier.
Like a silicone
Yeah.
lining on it.
But I thought that was, I know, right? Because it didn't look like it belonged on his face. So I know they did everything on purpose where the designs were so cool, but they purposely made certain parts cheesy and you just had to go with it. So yeah, it didn't meet up with his head. It was like he was reconstructed or something. He had a limp with like a metal leg or something. So it was just funny how like it just didn't meet up with the rest of his head. And it really looked like his forehead was just squished into it because we saw a couple pieces that were just smeared like his sweating and stuff in the plastic. But he was so good at that character. He was intimidating. Again, there was a lot of humor mixed in where it wasn't scary. That's the whole idea of it. But I thought he made a really good villain. And it was weird with this whole shadow idea because the shadow was the actual ball of evil that was hanging out there. So when the president said, oh, why is there radio waves coming out? He made a phone call. Like the one guy said, he's like, well, maybe he's making a phone call. And he did to Zorg. I like how you have the good versus evil. And good tries to work together. Zorg had a connection to Shadow, to the evilness, and him even talking to Shadow on the phone where he had that ooze come down. The first time I saw it, I thought it was blood, but did you think it was blood?
I thought it was, but it was so thick and different colors the blood would be like. So I said, no, maybe it's not blood.
Yeah, so it looked kind of like we said crap. That was funny. It's like,
I just
piece
thought
of tape. It did kind of look like that, like
It
a
did look
brown.
like
But I like that scene because it's
That's so
freaky,
cool.
and Zorg was so terrified of him, you know? So I was like, ooh, God. We keep seeing references from Avatar where a lot of people like to have stories about the elements. And I joked about it in the beginning, but I forgot how close that was in this, where they actually had 4 elements. I forgot about the stones. I just remember Lilu being like the ultimate person to save the day. So to have earth, water, air, and fire having to work together, having to use those elements to open up to make an avatar. She wasn't an avatar, but that's totally like the idea of it, I take it as. And we're watching A Legend of Korra. So it's just kind of cool seeing all those different references with the elements and good versus evil and how certain things are just meant to be. So I'm happy they were able
and
to
especially
see
when
that.
they merged together, how she just projected and she was the ultimate weapon against the evil. That was very impressive.
That was really cool. And it's like the Avatar
Actual events.
having control of all 4 elements. You have to master all
Yes.
4 elements before you can do the Avatar state. Although Korra could kind of do, no, she couldn't do the Avatar state until she did all 4. So I thought that was kind of cool. But favorite character, I want to say, I love Lilu. I did a cosplay of her. She was a lot of fun and adorable.
So what outfit did you do?
I didn't do the one with the tape. I did not. I was going to make a joke.
I was wondering. I was going to ask you now.
I was gonna joke and say that, but I didn't want to ruin the moment. So I'm like, don't say that now because she was trapped and trying to escape. So I didn't want to throw you guys off. But I did not do the tape. I was really fit then, but I did do the main one she did, where she had the white short top and then the pants, and I had the orange straps. But I made them out of like a fur fabric because I couldn't find a rubber material at the time to quickly make this costume because it was an easy costume to make. And if you have a good body, it just works, you know, like I couldn't do now. But it was a really cool costume, and I worked on her Multipass, and I had her prints on it and stuff. So I would go around saying Multipass, Multipass. That was my thing. So that was a fun year. I really enjoyed that costume, and it shows how much I love this movie.
Yes.
I didn't want to talk about it too much in the beginning to influence you guys.
I liked Ruby.
Oh yeah, he was great. He was great. Right when he came on, I thought Kim was gonna really love him because you like all those weird characters, like Boomy from Avatar, but you like the real out there, very different.
Oh yeah, flamboyant.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. So
was
he
very
was
funny.
a lot of fun. He was definitely the humor. We kept laughing all the way through with him. I really like Cornelius. I just keep thinking Lord of the Rings, but he's a great actor too. We've seen him in a lot of things now. He was fun, but definitely Lilu was my favorite, and then Corbin. I just like that romance, and I like Bruce Willis. I think he's a cool actor, romancer. You know, he was kind of stuck in his role from the beginning as like this manly man, like the suave guy.
Yes.
But I like that, you know, so I thought that was fun. I love him talking to the guy when he had the takeout, And he reads the note and he goes, okay, well, I'll buy your dinner if this is good news or something. And he reads it and he goes, you are fired.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That was very humorous. So that cracked me up. And Mom really liked the boat that he was in. The ideas were so fun. Right?
Were they?
Yeah, very good, yeah.
Because he's like a freaking ship. There's a ship leaving.
Oh my God, that
you have
boat
these
was
flying
funny.
cars. So why would you have a flying ship? Why not?
What the
Another
heck?
cool
That
thing
was
that I
real.
liked, I didn't notice until this time around, is when Corbin was trying to escape all the police officers and he went way down below the city. And it was abandoned because there was so much smog, it looked like, pollution, that they had to extend upwards to get out of all of that. So it shows you that down the road, because we have so much pollution already, that negative, but you know, like hopefully it doesn't go that route, but you make do, you adapt in some way, and you have to go up. And then the air's thinner, like I'm sure that's not healthy for you either. But anyways, the idea of everything was so cool. I love their apartments, how they were almost like jail cells. I know it was probably lower end, but how you had nothing like comfy, like home. You didn't have any cushions really anywhere.
No, very
and,
simple.
yeah, and everything goes away into the walls and comes out again, and it kind of switches over for you, like the bed mattress, like the whole thing would just flip and recycle.
Yeah.
Or
even the
just go
cabins
upwards.
in the ship were very
I was kind of like, are those just for hypersleep or something to get there because it's probably so far away? Having the rollers there were like perfect, so I wouldn't really complain. Be like, no, I'm just kidding, but they were really tight. I'd be really claustrophobic with that.
I like the way when they were trying to evacuate the ship, you see the rescue boats just like flying out, just shooting out with people just to evacuate.
Hopefully they were at max, you know, not like a couple people and hitting escape
I
buttons.
hope there wasn't just a selected few. Hopefully they had him. Yeah, it was. I like that idea too.
I thought that was neat, and I'm glad it worked out okay, because the chaos of all of them running to get out of there.
Yeah, that's so dangerous.
There was no one getting trampled, and they weren't clogging the hallways. They were actually consistently running forward and getting in a lot faster. So in that rare scenario, they were getting out pretty quickly. So hopefully they were maxing out every pod when they were escaping. But all in all, I think it was fun. I like the humor mixed in with it because it wasn't really scary that way. It wasn't meant to be that scary, but the designs were so freaking cool. It's just very different. And I know you guys probably thought it was a little weird too because the ideas were so creative. You know?
That's right.
Good versus evil.
That's right.
And that's actually a fun story, because we want
story too.
Yes, and we want the good to win. I really wish I had my Lilu wig. I have it upstairs. I dug through so many different boxes. I cannot find it, but it's almost exactly like hers. I wanted to wear it for this reaction. I'm like, no, it's not the outfit though. That wouldn't work. Sorry, guys, but I really wanted that wig. I definitely have it somewhere. But I found other wigs that I haven't used in a long time. Yes, I love to cosplay. I used to cosplay, so I don't want those to go to waste. So that'd be kind of fun just to like change it up now and again. Some YouTubers actually change their hair color, but I used to a lot, but now I just like, I have so many extensions and wigs, so I'm like, why not just use those? They're fun too.
Right.
So thank you ladies for reacting with me for this movie.
You're welcome. We enjoyed it.
It was fun. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, and I love the soundtrack so much, just to say one more time. I like how it was like a mix of 80s and then futuristic music. That was cool. So very fun. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Hope you're well. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up if you like this video, and we'll see you very soon as always. Bye guys.
Bye.